Hey everyone, Sparks back with the Vesti testy video. That's a sentence. Is she good on her own? Well, I mean, look, so I've been testing her against Indivilia, and my thought was that she would be good against Indivilia because she's going to ignore defense, and Indivilia has a notoriously high defense. But as you can see, her damage is not really keeping up here with the best of them. Now, is this the most optimal team for Vesti? No. Do I have Yunhua or Emma? No, but this was kind of the whole point to see if Vesti could actually work on her own. And granted, my Vesti is not done yet. So I'll show you her overload lines in a minute and exactly what she's at. But she does have some room to grow here. But she is way lower than like either Red Hood or Modernia here. We'll just continue the fight so you can see how this ends. And we got like 5 seconds left here. Oh, Rappy went down in the last like 5 seconds, so that's unfortunate. Whatever. Anyway, we got tier 6, which is significantly lower than I've gotten before. I've gotten basically tier 8. I can't remember if I actually got tier 8 before, but I've gotten at least past tier 7, at least up to the like kind of bottom notch of tier 8 here with my previous teams, where I use Rappy and then Modernia, and in this slot instead I use Ray, so the original Fire Ray. I've also had very similar success where I put Mihara in the 5th slot as well, almost the same damage. So yeah, Vesti not looking amazing. I mean, yeah, this is a little bit disappointing, to be honest. So I thought that, you know, she'd be the best on her own. Maybe she is, but her best isn't great. As far as how she functions in a whole squad, I'm sure Vesti is better. But if you're looking to just add her into another team, not performing super well here against Indivilia at least. And then even if you have the whole squad, I would be extremely surprised if they actually outperform Crown, Little Mermaid, Rappy, and whatever else you want to add here against Indivilia. But now let's go ahead and do some actual like damage comparisons in the shooting range in a little bit more of a controlled environment where I compare her to different units one by one. So real quick before we get into the shooting range and those tests, I do want to show you what we're working with. So my Vesti has affection level 9. She is a single copy, and I have everything overloaded, and we'll take a look at her lines. So I got some decent ones. Again, this could be more optimized, but they actually turned out pretty well. So we have elemental damage, charge speed, and charge damage on the helmet. On the gloves, we got attack and crit rate. And then on her chest, we have charge speed and attack. And for the boots, we got elemental damage and a useless hit rate there. So pretty decent offensive stats. We got a couple of attacks, a couple of charge things, and a couple of elementals. So overall, not bad. And then I have all of her skills at level 7, and I do have her with a level 13 resilience cube. We're now here at the last second. Let's put on a collectible just to give her a little bit of a stat boost there. I'm not going to be leveling this up right now, but let's get into the shooting range. Now, for the purposes of these tests, I'm going to keep it pretty generalized, or rather consistent with the units that I'm using. We're going to be using Crown and Siren for all the tests, just in the interest of not changing too many variables. Now, could there be a potentially more optimal team for Vesti? Maybe, but Crown and Siren are just like the best kind of like baseline for any units, particularly because I'm testing her without her other teammates. We already saw her kind of get owned by Rappy and Modernia in the Indivilius test. Now we got Mihara in here. I did get my best score yet, apparently. And apparently no one does this particular test in the shooting range. I just jumped up to first pretty easily here because I don't think this was amazing. Yeah, Vesti getting destroyed even more. So actually, my thoughts on her being good against Indivilia because of her ignoring the very high defense of Indivilia did prove to be true, because her comparative damage to Rappy, although was still lower, was much closer. Whereas against your like average kind of boss here, the gap has widened dramatically. So that kind of true damage effect isn't getting to shine nearly as much here. So I don't think we need to put Modernia in here because we kind of already know how that's going to go. I will test her against Drake, Ray, and Asuka. Okay, what do you think, guys? Is Vesti going to measure up? This is kind of a really random team, right? But if anything, this should be favoring Vesti because she's getting the attack buff from Drake. Drake's not getting the burst, and she's also getting the charge speed bonus from Alice. So maybe this will be good for Vesti. Not great, not great. She's still out damaged by Drake, and Alice is way higher than her, which isn't to be... which is definitely to be expected, especially because my Alice is like super invested. So, I mean, this is not even a fair comparison at all. However, Drake and Vesti, I thought would have been a closer comparison, and they are close, but considering Drake, again, isn't even getting to burst, yeah, Vesti, I think, really needs her squad to be able to be effective. Okay, so let's do another test with the Ava girls. Okay, about to finish up the test with the Ava girls, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not expecting a whole lot here. At this point, I think we've probably already found out what we need to know. But hey, maybe she'll surprise us. Let's see what the stats say. Yeah, that's more or less what I thought. And again, like, Ray isn't even getting to burst here. Asuka blowing around in the water. In the interest of completion's sake, I think we're going to do a comparison of Vesti with the two Nier girls. A lot of new players joined during the Nier collab, and maybe you have her. They're both fire attackers, so let's see how Vesti compares to them. Okay, if Vesti is going to look good in any of these tests, it's going to be this one. We have some like slightly outdated collab units, and the team is a little weird. I have to switch things up just in the interest of healing for A2, otherwise it just wasn't going to work for her at all. So we kind of like switched up the other support units, but whatever. We're not comparing total damage. We're just going to see if Vesti can at least keep up with A2 or 2B, hopefully, who isn't even bursting. So let's go ahead and see what the results are. Okay, there we go. Vesti finally got a win. She did do more damage than anyone. Actually getting more damage than A2 is kind of impressive here because my A2 is pretty well built, and there's no real specific reason why Vesti would have any kind of advantage over A2, and A2 was able to stay in her B mode the whole time. 2B, of course, not getting to burst there was kind of way behind the other two, but... there we go. I mean, Vesti finally got a win. So let's answer the question. Is Vesti good without her squad? I think that's a pretty clear no. Now, I do think she still has a lot of potential against Indivilia, because we saw in that first test, she was way higher to some of those really top tier fire DPS units, compared to the other tests where she was just dramatically like outdone in damage. And so clearly the true damage is doing something for her there. But again, then you're going to have to probably be using the full absolute squad. And is that going to be worth the trade-off of then not using, you know, units like Crown and other like really powerful DPS fire damage dealers? I don't know. I didn't pull the rest of the squad. Comment below if you have done that test specifically. My guess would be it's going to be similar damage. It's probably going to be either slightly more or slightly less against Indivilia if you're using the full absolute squad versus the second best or the next best fire squad against her. That's kind of my my prediction there. So I wouldn't say she's a must pull by any means. Now let's kind of talk about her with the solo raid and theorycraft a little bit on that. I mean, if you were doing a Fire Week boss, you're definitely going to have like a Rappy squad that's probably like Rappy, Mihara, and you're using like Crown and Siren or whatever. Also, you can do like some kind of cheeky things with Mihara. Just depends on like what all you have on that particular squad. But you're going to have that like Rappy Mihara team. And then alternatively, for your second team, you can do a different like Mihara team if you're not putting her on the same one as Rappy. Again, it just kind of depends on how you set up your support units. Your third one for sure is probably going to be the Ava units, okay? And again, you can mix and match here a little bit. Like maybe it's going to be like Grave with Asuka, Modernia, and Ray or something like that. But you're going to have like a Grave machine gun fire team as one of your teams as well. And then you're probably also going to be using the shotgun team because the shotgun team is almost always the fifth team for like 90% of raids these days, and it's going to be particularly more relevant because of Drake. And so the squad with Vesti, the Absolute squad, is probably on there someplace. I do see them having a spot in the solo raids, but I don't think they're going to be the best team by any means. They're probably like your third or fourth team. Again, it depends on exactly how you set things up. You know, again, maybe one of your teams is like Alice with Black Shadow on there. But yeah, let me know what your results have been. I would say Vesti is a little disappointing, although I didn't think she was going to be like the best thing in the world anyway. Yeah, hopefully your polls went well. Hopefully you can find some useful information here. Again, share your results in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more nikke videos. Also, check out my Discord in the link below, and I'm going to be doing more videos for the new units in Etheria, as well as the new units coming out for Silver and Blood. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next video or stream.